early and getting to share your non-scale victories. But we're going to go ahead and get started tonight because we've got a jam-packed evening. And let me see if we can get the PowerPoint going. I hope you all just put this as a rock in your calendar. It is one thing I did when I started a program 4 years ago of March. And I haven't missed many. And if I have, I watch the recordings timely. And I took it a step further and even watched those recordings daily when I started program. So, all right. Next slide, please. All right, well, I am Carrie Wright, and this is me. And this is me at my heaviest of 200 pounds. And this is part of my whys up here at the top. 4 of those children are mine and their significant others. And then you see my husband and I in the center there. And we both started this program together. I set a goal myself to lose 15 pounds on this program. I had reached my early 50s, was gaining weight steadily. I had actually, if you can see the picture there, spent 30 years yo-yo dieting with raising my 4 children, had chronic fatigue. I was in a back brace. I was, feeling the health issues setting in at the early age of 51 and thinking, welcome to midlife. So I reached out to my coach, seeing his post on Facebook. Thank God people share on social, because I would not be here if he hadn't. And I decided to say yes to try one more thing to get healthy. So 15 pounds was my goal. But some of my non-scale victories that first week on program was results not typical, but my 3 years of back pain was gone. I lost 6 pounds, results not typical, but I hunkered down and I did not deviate. And I stayed on program 100%. And that 15 pounds came off at 5 weeks. And you know what? I didn't stop. But what I did do was post something socially to keep me accountable. And I didn't know what it was at that point and what it might lead to, but it truly led to life change in more ways than one. What that accountability post did was it showed my friends and family that we were doing something different, that when we hung out, we were going to be ordering different and eating different and saying, I don't want that, thank you, and no thank you, a lot more often. And I decided to go for 10 more pounds. My husband just kept going with me, but I started walking with some friends and family, and people were reaching their hands out and saying that they needed help also. And so I thought, what better to take my accountability to another level, but to walk with my friends and family myself instead of sending them to my coach. And so I did that. And I lost 10 pounds and I was helping others. And I didn't stop, and I lost another 10, and I didn't stop. And at 5 months, we were both down 50 pounds. And I will tell you that I am the smallest size I've been in 40 years. I have stayed the same size for 3.5 years. And the reason is this part finally changed along the way. This part. Never have lost this much weight. I've not been this size like I just shared, but this part changed. And so you're going to be hearing from some awesome coaches tonight. I want to say clients, right? Everybody starts as a client. We're always a client. We're always on program because this is not a diet. We don't just have an end date. I am in optimal health and I will be contending for my health daily. And that's what we want for all of you. So I am going to ask our first speaker to, well, actually, no, I've got to read our disclaimer. Let me do that real quick because I have already talked a little bit about my coaching venture, and you may hear some others, but Optavia makes no guarantees of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which require hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Your success will depend on how well you exercise these qualities. Please see the Optavia income disclosure for statistics on actual earnings of coaches. All right. Well, my first speaker is Allie Robbins, and she came into our coaching org as a client a while back. And Allie, are you out there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Yes. Go ahead and share your story.
Yes, so thank you so much for having us. Me and my husband Kyle, we are so excited to get to come on here and kind of share our story. So we were introduced to the program, I guess, a year ago in January, but we didn't take the plunge at that time. My wonderful stepmother was doing the program, and I was skeptical. I just had a baby, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to start this. And just to give you a little backstory, me and Kyle both dealt with childhood obesity. We have dealt with weight our whole lives. We both had a stint in college where we got pretty healthy by running and exercising. But then life happened again, and we had, well, I know for me, I had my beautiful children.
Yeah, life happened 3 times.
Yes. We have a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old who's about to be 3, and a 1-year-old. And with each of those pregnancies for me, I gained a little bit of weight, which is to be normal.
And I supported her by gaining weight myself.
Yeah. But I always thought, oh, I'll get back into running, I'll get back into exercising, I'll lose that weight. But then you get busy with your children and you get busy with life, and that didn't happen. And so after my third child, I was pushing 300 pounds, which was a major wake-up call for me. I was dealing with back pain, pre-diabetic. I was depressed. I had no energy, and I was not the mom I wanted to be. And he saw it, and he supported me in everything I wanted to do. But it was a hard time, I'll be honest, with COVID and everything going on. And I was definitely not my normal self. So I reached out and decided I wanted to try this program, reached out to my coach. And my lovely husband supported me. He goes, I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to watch you do it for a little bit and see how it goes. But he always supported me. And so I started June or July 5th. It was right after 4th of July. And it was amazing. I felt energy within the first week. I just felt better. I already could see a mood change in just my emotions and how I felt. And I knew that this was something that I was going to be able to do, and that it was going to help my family. And luckily, he also saw the positives. And so about 3 weeks of me being in program, he goes, all right, Allie, I want to try.
Yeah, it didn't take long. I saw the benefits that she was saying. I was getting a little jealous. And then our household is built on competition. So she lost, her weight, and then I lost my weight, and it was a back and forth for quite a while. And that's how we kept each other honest and accountable. Our competitive nature kept that alive, and I'll let you go back.
Yeah. So, but what also, it did another big important thing for us. With us, having 2 boxes to pay and 2 people on plan, I decided to coach, and he was my first client, and his mother actually joined at the same time as him, and I had a couple other family members who decided to join. I remember when my coach Loretta asked me about coaching when I first started the very first week, I was like, nope. I have 3 kids. I'm a teacher. I'm a coach for bowling. I had all of the reasons to not coach. All the excuses. I had no time for this. But he kind of got it in, and I was like, well, that would help pay for our box, and with your mom and my mom and a couple of family members, okay, I'll coach, but just my family members. I didn't know what coaching was going to do for me. It created accountability that I never would have thought. And I'll be honest, I hadn't really opened my life book the first month. But as soon as I decided to coach, I went, okay, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to support my family members and my husband, and I'm going to get into these books so I can be a good example. And that was a huge thing for me, getting into those books, because it changed my wording from, we know it's not a diet, but it really is a lifestyle. And that was a huge thing for me as well. So not only was I losing the weight, but I started really working on my mind, which that's what made this different for us, and really made us realize that this was not going to end. I've had so many people ask me, when are you going to stop? Well, I'm not. We've changed our lifestyle, and we are creating a legacy of health for our children. So hopefully they do not deal with the obesity that me and my husband both dealt with. So with that, we are just so blessed. I lost 110 pounds in 8 months, and my husband
50 overall. So,
and as I said, dive into those books, dive in, use your coach, and the accountability of coaching, even if it's just a few of your family members, really, really does have an impact on how you see this journey. Instead of this being a temporary thing, it's something that is a lifetime and a life change. And we're just so thankful that we have gotten involved and been able to embrace this wholeheartedly. So.
Thank you both for sharing so much. Your story is powerful, and busy mama and daddy, and you guys are doing it. You're changing a lot of people's lives. So, hey, Randy, it is your turn. If you can come off mute and share your story, I would love that. Love to hear your story.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, cool. Well, we started, actually, I want to go back to when we first met. I first met Carrie and Stony a while back, and it's because Sherry and I, my wife and I, we are physical therapist assistants here in the state of Texas, and it right after the healthcare law was signed into from bill to the law, it really affected our jobs, and so our prayer was, like daily, it was like, God, please put us in something in our path where we can work from home and help people. In your name, I pray, amen. And right after that's when we first met Stony and Carrie, and it's about 10 years ago, and they were doing something else. We tried it, we failed miserably. And then, but we remained friends and on Facebook, and somewhere along the way, they stopped doing that other program. And I had some health issues, the stress for what was happening because of what was affecting our industry. We had to see more patients, drive farther, we do home health. And every day it was the prayer, God, please put something on our path where we can work from home and help people. In your name, I pray, amen. And then I had heart issues. I have 4 stents in my heart. The stress of what we were doing, it was you work during the week to get to the weekend, and then you unwind by, we're in Texas, so it's Mexican food and margaritas. Let's just cut to the chase. And so about 4 years ago, I remember seeing a post with Carrie that, I've lost 15 pounds on this program, feeling great or something along those lines. I'm thinking, what program? God, please put something in our path where we can work from home and help people. In your name, I pray, amen. And then we're noticing that they're helping people and losing weight, and Stony and Carrie are you're losing 30, 40, up to 50 pounds, and sugar shot, and all these before and afters, and we're praying and watching them. And God, put something in our path where we can work from home and help people. In your name, I pray, amen. 3 years. We watched them 3 years, folks. And then a year ago this month, Stony put a video out where I'm paraphrasing, but it was essentially, I'm no longer punching the clock after today. Our health coaching business is working. We're expanding. We're able to work from home. Bless his heart. We're doing something. God, please put something in our path where we can work from home and help people. In your name, I pray, amen. So it still wasn't even clicking, but I finally got them on the phone. Sherry and I talked about it, and we're like, we've got to find out what they're doing. And so we caught them on the way to Oklahoma. They were on I-35. Stony's driving. Carrie's trying to do a health assessment. She's trying to be professional. I'm being me. I'm just trying to give her my credit card. I'm like, I don't care. I'll put us on. She goes, we got to find out which plan you need to be on. So we signed up. I lose 8 pounds the first week. Sherry loses 7. I'm thinking, well, maybe this is what we've been praying for. And this is where Carrie has a gift that I hope can learn how to hone. She has the ability to know what you need, not what you need to hear. There's a difference in that. And so when we did our celebration call, of all the people she could have chosen and asked to do that celebration call with me, she chose Stephanie, who is a retired teacher, or a retired nurse, I'm sorry. And so for a little inside baseball, nurses and physical therapists kind of make the same amount of money, roughly. So Stephanie's trying to be very, stay on the nutrition. I'm already bought into the nutrition. I want to know about the business, the coach, that part of it. And so she leaned in, she finally goes, Randy, she goes, I want you to know something. She said, I have more impact on more people doing health coaching through Optavia than I ever did as a nurse, and I make better money. Bless your heart. Repeat that, please. And she did. And I looked at Sherry and I said, I think we're all in on this one. And bless your heart in Texan means dang it. So if you're wondering what that means, so at that moment we started. So I became a coach on September 4th. I was a senior coach 11 days later. I was an associate director 4 weeks after that. And I was an ED, an executive director 4 weeks after that. I've been a regional director since January. And I wanted to be Stoney and Carrie's fifth FIBIC so I could be the reason why they're in FIBL, but I'm still going to get there. I'm not quite there yet, but forever, it's not bless your heart, Stoney and Carrie. It's just bless you. Thank you for introducing me to this program. It's changed my life. Thank you. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate it.
Oh, wow. You're so, so welcome. And it is a ripple. It is a ripple of health. And again, I know a lot of you clients and maybe even guests on the line are like, what in the world did he just rattle off? So, if it is something that you're kind of, piqued your interest, I mean, you should talk to your coach about it because this is life-changing in more ways than our health. It is truly life-changing. So we're going to get moving forward with our stress eating topic. And so if you guys remember what I looked at, like at 200 pounds, boy, I didn't get there eating carrots. I usually say that in my celebration calls because it's the truth. And the other thing that I say is that I wake up with my 200-pound Carrie every single day. But I've learned how to cope. I've learned how to stop and challenge and choose. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about the triggers and how to deal with them when stress happens and all the things. So, all right, next slide. So the first thing that we want to do is recognize our stress triggers. And some of these we can't control, some we can. And some of those things that we can't control are life events, such as illnesses. And I want to kind of take a pause here because one of the things that we've walked through, and I'm looking for my notes and I don't see them, so now I have to kind of go by memory, is the time that we dealt with something in an illness just this year of 2022, when we're kind of coming out of COVID and we're thinking things are kind of coming back to a little normal. We hear the C word, and it wasn't COVID, it was cancer. And so this was something we could not control. My husband was diagnosed with throat cancer, actually a tumor on his tongue, on January 21st. And so the 27th, it is truly a positive test back. And then February 21st, he starts treatments of 35 rounds of radiation and 7 weeks of treatments, and then 3 rounds of chemo. And what I chose to do in that time, and I'm in optimal health, is I chose to get back on a 5-in-1. What does that mean? I still eat 6 times a day in optimal health. I still utilize fuelings in optimal health because I love them and they've made my body feel the best. And they're so simple and easy go-to, right? For those in between healthy meals that we have. But I chose to purposely go back on a 5-in-1 because I needed to show up well with my energy, with my mental focus, get better sleep, take care of myself so that I could be there for him, for our kids, for our friends, for our clients, and for our coaches. And so I did just that. And it truly helped me get through these last 10 weeks that we've walked this journey. And he's all done with treatment and we're prayerful for the all clear, but it will be some years of follow-ups and all the things. But that is something that we could not control. But because of being in a healthy body and a healthy mindset and the things that I'd learned the last 4 years, I was able to tackle that and push through it and come out even better on the other side. Some other things that we can't control are accidents, death. We just lost my daughter-in-law's father to COVID after a year-long fight. just on March 23rd this year. We can't control natural disasters and what happens in our neighborhoods and our communities and our cities. And unfortunately, we can't control our family, right? There's different dynamics. And, we're, born into that. And you're going to notice something though, on the flip side, these are things we can control, so to speak, are the holidays, the parties, the seasonal events, the gatherings. I put family over here again, because we can kind of maybe say yes and no to certain things. So recognizing some of these stress triggers. Now, some of these are just kids and events and the PTA and life. And, again, yeah, somebody's saying they have, project due tomorrow and it's 10 o'clock at night. Those are all stress related. Hormones cause stress. We heard that in the pre-party. So many things, right? Cause stress. So we're going to continue on to see what we respond with, right? So I want you all to know that these books right here, and I'm going to reference both of them tonight, these are gold. These are gold. So I'm going to talk about Stop, Challenge, Choose. And again, pre-party. If you missed the pre-party, you guys need to get on, because it's always full of little nuggets, even in people's non-scale victories and how they're winning and what they're utilizing in their journeys. And I can't remember her name. I should have wrote it down, but she talked about Stop, Challenge, Choose. Page 133 in your Habits of Health is where it starts. And I want to kind of read this because our mind and our body are tightly linked. Physical sensations, such as that gut feeling, are cues that signal you to immediately take over control of our current conditions. Okay. So in the pause, in the stop, by getting good at stopping, pause, okay, widen that gap. We're putting ourselves in a position to know how to control our response and how to, our response to a negative feeling or emotion. And it's okay to feel things. We're going to feel things. We're going to have emotions, but in widening the gap between how then we react and what we take it to, that's where we want to start having bigger wins. So process those feelings, and your Habits of Health book is going to make you aware and teach you the principled habits of health. So you're going to have a growing knowledge of better choices to make in every circumstance, not just what we're putting in our mouths, but how we react to a situation in life, to a boss, to our kids, all those kind of things. And so those using our Stop, Challenge, Choose is going to take practice to learn and install, but it's going to become automated in time. So again, we're going to practice creating new pathways. And if you take a look at your Habits of Health, I kind of noted page 150, page 412, pages 525 through 527, that is about stress. And you need to open these. Don't just put them on a bookshelf and let them set and collect dust. This is a tool towards optimal health. Okay. Next slide. All right. The other thing I really want to encourage you to do, and I did this day one that I started as a client, was seek out the community. I think most everybody on here has a community group that you have been added to. So that is your client support group, things that we refer to. I got loud and proud right away. I started sharing, liking, commenting. I made a little buddy in there, and, we both kind of encouraged each other throughout our journeys. But I didn't, it was like popping into the group, going to the group, using it almost like its own site versus waiting for things to come through my timeline. Pop into the group, use it. There's full of resources and goodness and positivity and encouragement and inspiration. And when we're not feeling good, utilize the group. When you're having something stressful happening, go to the group. That's there for you to work through that. It's going to create the pause, right? If something is stressful, pause. Most of us are carrying around our cell phones these days. And if something's happening in your life, use that to go to get some positivity and to shift your mind. Tuesday night calls. This again, a rock in your calendar, like I talked about at the beginning when I showed the slide, but don't just do it Tuesday nights. Go back and listen to the recordings. When I started as a client, I went into the files section. I found those recordings. I listened to one every single morning when I was getting ready for work. every morning. I would put my phone at my sink, pop on a recording, and start my day with good stuff up here. Grab my feelings and my lunch sack and head off and get up and go about my day. And I was setting myself up for success. I was learning things. This is a learn and grow. And so you've got to utilize the Tuesday night calls. And if you can catch the live, by all means, every Tuesday night. And lean into your coach. That is accountability. We've walked the same journey. You know, again, we are not perfect. We can share things that have helped us get out of those ruts, get out of the situations, get out of those mindsets. So lean into your coach, take their calls weekly. You know, we always say, don't ghost them. I usually pick up my coach binder and say, my clients who are taking my calls weekly are getting results. Weight loss, scale victories, non-scale victories. They're sharing what they're learning in their mind health. They're growing in the journey. Okay, so seek out your community. Next slide. All right, and some things that we can do to reduce stress. Breathe. Just stop, breathe. 90 seconds it takes to just make us feel different. So take a few deep breaths in and hold it and release and just take the breath. You can meditate, maybe do some yoga, some stretching, go for a walk, take an untimely bubble bath, or you just a hot bath. I still, to this day, instead of the witching hours of 4 to 6, when I used to want to just munch on chips and dips and crackers and cheese and wine and cocktail, and the stress things that I thought were serving me well and fun and all the good stuff. Now at 4 o'clock, I'm sometimes going, hun, I'm going to go take a bath. And I still do it because we still deal with stuff. And so that is beautiful. Music, dance, change the environment, the energy, color and draw, play with your kids or grandkids, and then read your Habits of Health. I want to reference the Life book because I love this thing. And mine is, yes, I did get it. I recommend the binding, but I don't, because since I got the binding, now mine's kind of falling apart. But there's a couple of sections in here. And one is, I'm going to tell you, I've got mine highlighted, dealing with addictive foods. Yes, that was me. And mastering our thoughts and emotions, being clear on my why. But one of the things that you can do in your introduction is use this exactly like a journal. Write down those non-scale victories. Write down the times you've worked through a stressful situation and how to win. You know, again, we've heard some of those. But for me, some of my non-scale victories, I just wrote down was that my back pain was gone and my energy picked up at week 1 and the mental clarity and the deeper sleep. And week 2, I kind of felt like my knees weren't hurting anymore and my clothes were already feeling looser. My cravings, appetite were in check. So those are non-scale victories, but then some of it is like winning at the Cheesecake Factory and not ordering the cheesecake, right? Ordering the lean and green, but still socializing and being there for the fellowship and the friends and the good times. There's ways that we can maneuver through life. So use your introduction. There's 2 kind of empty pages here that you can journal, or you can journal throughout your book as you are working your way in it. And then the other thing that I want to point out really quickly is, because we only have like a minute left, is your why. On your why, I think it's the next slide. Well, maybe not the next slide yet. On this section, your why, it's writing it down. I wrote down that I want to improve every year in my health and a legacy of health. Nowhere on my why pages does it say that I wanted to lose 15 pounds. But it does say to live as long as I can, as healthy as I can, and impact other people. I wrote this down because I heard it the other day and it said, healing comes in sharing our story. When we share our story, when we live it out loud and we inspire people to reach out to us and ask us, what's the program you're doing? What are you doing that's kind of changed your world? I want to share it with them and give them that gift to receive if they choose to. But the other things that I wrote down was my husband's name and my kid's name, and to leave a legacy of health. And not only for my family, but for every single person now that we've inspired to health. That is the legacy of health. I want to be an active grandma and I want to live life to the fullest. And I think the last slide is my why. And this happened just this morning. And she is our first grandbaby. And I wrote down a year and a half ago that I wanted to be an active grandma. And I sat on the sidelines of life a lot, raising my children. And I'm not going to do that with this sweet baby. She's not going to know the grandma who can't play and take her to the park and go to the zoo and do all the things. And this gift this morning and me being able to share with you guys and all the things that we've walked through just this year. This is that sweet baby that's bringing the joy and solidifying the why. And her name has been added to my book, Ruby Claire Wright. And so I hope I've inspired you a little bit tonight to really work on your mind health. That's what this is about. We can't just walk through the physical journey. You can't. You have to work on your mind health. You've got to pick up your books. You've got to lean into your coach. You've got to get active in the community, and you've got to share your journey. Share your journey, inspire others. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you for letting me go over just a minute. So good night, you guys.